computer.
So hi, we're back in the shed. So I just might remind you who we are. So I'm Alison Thieker.
I'm Anne Hope. That was a hard question.
You are. That was a hard question.
I nearly didn't do it.
And today we are really excited because we've got another guest in the shed. We're loving this collaboration with different women, and we've got Louise Jenner, who is the Dream Job Coach. So welcome, Louise.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, great. And what we were thinking is, because you're called the Dream Job Coach, and we know from our experience that a lot of women, because of that kind of hormonal journey they go on, up to menopause and beyond, it's like in their 40s, they can sometimes get a bit dissatisfied and they do go looking for their dream job. So maybe if you just can you just tell us what you do? What do people come to you when they say, I think a dream job coach would be a good idea? What do your clients, come to you with, the kind of questions that they have?
I think the first thing I'd like to say is I was that woman. So when I was 43, which is now 10 years ago, I got a bit dissatisfied with my career, even though I had a really good job and it was very well paid. But I'd been doing it for 17 years with the same company. And, I just was getting a bit fed up, and there was a bit of a glass ceiling. But honestly, I wasn't completely sure I wanted to smash that either. The next step up looked like a lot more work for not a lot more money. So, you start to have those questions, don't you? And you start to really think about what you want from the next chapter of your life. Now, interestingly, because of the work that you guys are doing around menopause and perimenopause, I think maybe women in their 40s now are, dare I say it, a little bit more fortunate than we were, than I was.
Yeah, because you just think you've got itchy feet, whereas actually there's a bit of a change going on, something a bit deeper about moving on to the next phase of your life. Yeah.
Well, I've been reflecting on this, and I certainly just thought I had itchy feet and was a bit dissatisfied, but I didn't even know the word perimenopause 10 years ago. In fact, I'm not sure when that word came into my sphere of understanding, so I reckon I'd gone through it before I knew it.
Yeah, possibly.
So I think it's great now that there's so much more awareness about it. And in terms of your question, Alison, what do women come to me in their 40s looking for? It is that sense of clarity. What is it? I know I don't want to keep doing this, but what do I want to do? What can I do? How do I do it? All of those kinds of questions. So the first thing that I do as a dream job coach, career coach, business coach, is to say, first things first, let's get clear. Let's do that very, very important work. Because if we fast forward to applying for jobs, writing CVs, updating LinkedIn, going out networking, if we start doing all of that before we know what we're doing it for, we're heading ourselves up for a bit of a car crash, or we're just going to attract what we've always done before. We're just going to attract more of the same. I could have walked out of my job as a retail manager, but it was for DFS Furniture. I could have walked out of that job and got another job with another furniture shop like that.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to get a job with another furniture shop, I'd stay where I was.
Exactly.
So,
So,
you have to do that soul searching and that inner work to find out what it is that you really want to do. And for many women, that is so much easier to do with a coach.
I think
sometimes you can do
it. There's a great saying that I know, and it says you can't do something you don't know if you keep on doing what you do know. And I think so you just keep doing the same thing. So actually, I think going to a coach is quite a good option, because they will give you a reflection.
I was just reflecting exactly on, and as you were speaking, about how women would tell you what they're bad at or what they don't want. But I think, I don't know this because I don't work therapeutically so much with men, but generally the idea is men say, I would like to be, whereas women seem to lose that I would like to be, as much as I'm not sure I'm happy, but I could carry on doing it, but it doesn't feel right and this feels wrong. Do you feel that when you coach women? Do you feel that it's kind of harder to bring out their positives and get them forward? Because I feel that's where a coach would be really useful to help you coach that bit. Or what do you find?
I don't think it's as simple as when women are like this and men are like that. You know,
Oh
I
no,
certainly had
no,
some
Yeah.
very confused men in my
no, I was
career.
being very
But,
broad brush in that.
yeah. But definitely, um, a lot of my clients need help to uncover their strengths.
Yeah,
And of course, our strengths are on the other side of the coin from our weaknesses.
yeah.
So it's good timing. Yesterday, I started a new client and we were talking about this very subject. I've got a lovely little box of strengths cards
I love
that
those.
I use.
Yeah, we use those too.
Yeah, and we drew one, and it was the strength of understanding. So she's a very understanding person. And I said, give me the example of what you were thinking about when I was shuffling the cards, and she told me the story. And from that story, we uncovered another 9 strengths.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
so she's an understanding person, but she's a really good listener. She has a lot of empathy. And we talked about this, and then we talked about how one of her weaknesses she felt was that she's a bit of a perfectionist, and she sometimes holds other people to really high standards and all the rest of it. We talked about, well, when would that be a good thing? You know, when would it be a good thing to actually hold people to very high standards? And of course, the answer to that is, well, when it's a matter of life and death, when it's a critical situation.
Yeah.
And does that excite you? Well, yeah, that really excites me. I find it very exciting to be doing that kind of work more often. And so there we are. Whereas a lot of people would say, oh, crikey, no, that sounds like way too much pressure for me. I don't want to be involved in life and death situations. For this particular individual, that was really exciting. So in one session, in the very first session of the whole program, we made a big revelation, and we uncovered a load of strengths. And one of the things that she said was that she lacks confidence. And when we talked about that particular story, which was a great win for her, I said, and when we talk about that woman with all of those 10 strengths, would we then add on low confidence at the end of that?
Yeah.
Said, well, no, but I've never stopped to think about that project in that way. It's a very good example of how coaching gives you pause, gives you chance to reflect. And because you're doing it with somebody else, you don't start reflecting down a negative spiral.
This is probably what I was clumsily sort of saying, how easy it is for some people, and you're absolutely right, it's not men and women, it's very tendency of masculine and feminine traits, but that doesn't have to sit within the masculine and feminine body, but it's that trait of being sort of over empathetic to other people rather than putting yourself as the top. Therefore you can be very positive with other people. It's that sort of thing. So it sounds like it's a really interesting way forward. How long do you spend with somebody typically? I mean, I know it's hard, isn't it? Like, how much does a window cost? But I mean, it's like, what if somebody was to come along? What would be your sort of ballpark framework of
how many sessions do people normally have with you?
Typically, we have a client who comes along and says, I think this is what I want to do, but I just don't know how to do it. It's very different from what I've done already.
Yeah.
We might go with a 3-month program, 5 sessions with that, plus a clarity program, which is a series of assignments that they can do at home. So that is for somebody who kind of knows what they want. We just need to double check that it really is, and then get onto the practical stuff so that they can make it happen. With somebody who comes and says, look, I don't know what I want to do, I just don't want to do this anymore.
What I've done in my life so far, draw under it.
Right.
We need to take a bit more time with that on the clarity up front, really getting clear about what it is we're going for, and preventing that jumping out of the frying pan into the fire kind of situation. So then I have a 6-month program in which I give 9 sessions. So those are the 2 programs that I generally offer. but I can also be very flexible because it's my own business. I'm not answering to anybody else,
You know
and
what?
I can tailor it.
We're all individuals. We all have a way forward, but it sounds fantastic. I'm really, it's not something that I've really seen in such a way before. You know, people go for therapy for this, or they go for somebody that's going to be pushing them forward into a career path or something.
But this is great because you help them find out.
But this is, it's sort of like that bridge across, and it's such an important time because we've done things and we realize what we do and don't like out of that. So we come to the 40s, the 50s with a basket of experience. And it's almost like that you can shuffle that basket into a much more sensible place so that they can go forward positively, which sounds really good.
So I was wondering, Louise, because I mean, as with all our guests, we could talk for hours here, but unfortunately we don't have that. But I was just wondering if kind of lastly, so if somebody's kind of listening to this and they kind of think, well, I'm starting to, if that is something I want to do, what could they do? What would be a kind of short, is there a short quick win thing where they could actually start to think about getting clarity, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're asking me what can they do in terms of meeting up with me, then I offer a free clarity session. And I think that's really important, because if you've rocked up into your 40s and gone, oh wow, I don't want to do this anymore, probably you haven't had any kind of coaching before. So how do you know what it's like, and how do you know if it's right for you? So I don't just do a 15-minute discovery call. I offer a full coaching session. So that's to all of my clients, free of charge. So so they're welcome to do that at louisejenner.com. You can just book your session really easily.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I think that's really important because, like you say, people have struggled on their own, and they probably talk to friends who just go, you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that, but they've not actually had somebody that's in that third
supportive there.
Supportive, or
you need a third force, don't you?
That third force to come in. So we'll definitely put the link in. We'll definitely make sure that link is there, and we'll definitely talk to you a little bit more about it, because I'd like to know, sort of, if possible at some point, if we could not follow a person that you've done, but you can come up with a sort of a plan so we don't identify anyone, so people can sort of follow that in a bit more detail, that they can see this would be my experience, which would be a nice thing to do. So we'll speak again,
back, as they say.
And thank you so much for joining.
Brilliant. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you for having me.
Bye for now.